y'all, it's Amanda and this is my Texas Zone 8 garden, and today is a seedling update and maintenance video. I'm going to be showing you pretty much every single thing I've been growing from seed, whether it's inside or out in the greenhouse. Okay, one question before we get going. I've been researching finishes or the stain color for the front of the shade garden. So what I'm going to do is I'm looking at these bare exterior wood stains finishes. I don't think I want a solid color. I think I want a semi-transparent or a transparent color. And so I'm going to put like 3 that I'm interested in. I'm going to put pictures up on them. If you'll pick your favorite and comment below which one you like, keep in mind that the tone of the wood I currently have has a lot of yellow to it, which is something that's going to be really important. Like I was thinking, oh, I might put a blue. If I put a blue over the yellow wood, it's going to turn green, which would be fine. But it's just something to consider when you're choosing the color. You know, like I like a lot of the grays, but I'm nervous that if I overlay it with, you know, if I put it on that yellow wood, that it's not going to look very good. Anyway, I'm going to put up a few colors. Y'all tell me what you think below. Okay, so it is time for a seedling update and maintenance. I have been doing these videos very consistently since January, and I don't get a lot of views. Like these are not like my most watched videos or anything. However, I typically get a ton of comments because people really like these videos because they like to see what's happening with the seedlings, what their seedlings should be looking like, problem shooting, what they need to do to keep their seedlings going. They like to hear about a lot of that stuff because that stuff is a little bit harder to find on YouTube. So it's been really fun to do these videos. It also helps me, like it keeps me on track with taking care of my seedlings. So I'm going to go through and show you all the different ones. Some of them are going to be out in the greenhouse and we'll just look at them afterwards. Most of them, or a significant amount of them, are in here. I actually already have some planted in the garden. A bunch of coleus has been planted, some cleome, and petunias have already been planted out in the garden, which is so exciting. But let me go ahead and start with peppers and eggplant and wait till you see what these look like. Are you ready? Can you even believe this? These are my lilac bell peppers. They are stunning. Since I potted them up into these larger containers and I've been fertilizing with my fish emulsion, my Alaskan fish emulsion, they are doing beautiful. I've been keeping them nice and moist. Everybody is doing really, really good. And I really hope in the next week to 2 weeks that I am going to get these planted out because it is time. We are past our last frost date and the 10-day weather forecast looks amazing. So absolutely beautiful on the lilac bell peppers. I'm so excited. There's 10 in here, but I'm not growing 10. I think I'm keeping 2 or 3. The rest are going to friends and family. Okay, let me actually show you. This is the concoleus. I know, right? Since I potted them up, they're doing amazing, absolutely beautiful. I could go ahead and remove some of these larger leaves and allow them to fill out. But these are almost all of these are going to be used on my front porch design for the spring, which will be in the next couple of weeks. They're doing beautifully. Since I potted them up and been fertilizing them with the Alaskan fish emulsion, they've been doing great. I typically fertilize still at half strength with the Alaskan fish emulsion, maybe once every 3 to 4 weeks, but absolutely gorgeous. Eggplant. Something else I get a lot of questions on is how long do I leave my lights on? I leave my lights on 16 hours a day. If you are using grow lights inside, you need to have them on a minimum of 14 hours a day. I do 16. That works really well for me. So this is an eggplant. The variety is called Listata de Gandia eggplant, and these are just ridiculously gorgeous. They're doing so incredibly well. I cannot wait to get these into the ground. I have 10 of these seedlings as well. I'm probably going to grow actually, I think I'm going to grow 4 of these because some of these I'm actually going to put into the garden because I'm wanting to try to do more companion planting this year. But these leaves are just so fun and lush and beautiful. I'm so excited. I did want to point out that eggplant does have little thorns on it, so you need to be very careful with it when you're planting or messing with it. But these are beautiful. Okay, let's talk about something that did not go well, and that is Nasturtium. I started 3 different varieties of Nasturtium a little while ago, and right away I had the climbing phoenix sprout. I only had 4 out of 12 cells sprout. And the cup of sunshine and the tip top mahogany and additional phoenix have not sprouted. Don't know why they haven't germinated. I'm kind of disappointed. Still going to leave them for now. I mean, I think it's been too long. I'll have to put the date that I started on. I'll put it down below. But yeah, they're not doing so great now. I kind of just want to scrap these and start over, go get some new fresh seeds and start over with them and see if I can't get some more started, because Nasturtium is a really big part of my companion planting this year. So I really want to have more of it into the garden. And these got going so quickly, and the fact that these have done nothing, super disappointing. So anyway, wanted to give that update on the Nasturtium. I thought about maybe do I need to like nick them next time? I mean, because they're such a hard outer shell. I soaked them, but maybe I need to, in addition, maybe nick them with a nail file or nail clippers. Make it a little bit easier for to open up. You guys let me know what your thoughts on that are. Okay, let's talk about additional seeds back here. This is Azuratum, all doing a really, really good. This is a timeless mix. 11 cells out of 12. They sprouted, germinated. That's in really good shape. These are looking really nice. Remember, once your seeds start sprouting, once 50 to 60% of the tray is sprouted, go ahead and remove your dome off the top. And if you've had it on the heat mat, remove it from the heat mat at that point in time. These are working on their second set of true leaves in here. So the first set of leaves that you see are the seed leaves. The leaves after that are true leaves. So once you have about 2 to 3 sets of true leaves, that's typically when I start fertilizing. So we will start fertilizing these soon. The Marvelous Mint did beautifully, 100% germination in all the cells, looking great. You can even smell the mint already, even as these tiny little seedlings. So they're doing really good, just growing along. The next variety is Gonfrina Raspberry Cream. These are all looking good. I do feel like the seedlings are kind of falling over a little bit, so that tells me I need to get them closer to the light. So I think I'll probably move them to my other rack over there that has stronger light, or actually maybe I'll just put it up here for now. I guess that's about the same distance we have right there. I could also put this underneath to get it up a little closer, but I think that's too close. Maybe a book or a couple of catalogs. There we go. That gets a little bit closer, but they're reaching a little bit. Next is the Swiss Giants Mix Straw Flower. We had 12 out of 11 cells germinate, looking really good. These are coming along really nicely. And truthfully, in about a month, I'll be able to get these outside. Okay, this tray over here has quite a few different things. This one right here has the creeping thyme, which is doing great. It's time for this to be divided up and put into separate pots, so we're going to do that today. I also have the Dianthus Blue Lace. I just have 3 seedlings. It's doing just fine. Not going to mess with it right now. And I have 4 varieties of basil. The first one is dark opal basil, and it originally had all germinated, and then I had damping off on these 3 cells over here. So one day the seedling was great, and the next day it was just folded in half over, and you can see where it had rotted on the stem. That's typically because there's not enough air movement, or I've kept them too moist for too long, but I still do have 9, which are doing really well. This one right here is cinnamon basil, and it looks like I had 10 out of 12 seed cells germinate, looking good. It is time for this basil is on its second and third set of true leaves, so it is time to start fertilizing these. For the Siam basil, I had 100% germination, so looking really good. Siam Queen, actually, basil. And then for the mammoth basil, I had, looks like 11 out of 12 seed cells germinate, looking really good. This one's really great for culinary purposes as well as for cut flower arrangements. Definitely time for me to start fertilizing these with the Alaskan fish emulsion, which would be really, really good for it. And these really should start to take off. I am not really looking to pot these up for myself. I'm going to be putting them directly into the garden, but I will be potting them up for Kristen and friends as well. So about half of these will go out into the garden. Okay, this next tray has a lot of Dianthus in it, and it desperately needs to get out into the garden. It is trying to put out flowers, and I really had no intention of ever trying to pot these up. They need to go directly into the garden, but now they're just getting so overgrown that I am kind of behind on that. So that'll probably be a big goal this weekend to take care of. I also have some more of my begonias over here. Both of those need to be potted up, so I think that we'll take care of that today as well. Put it over here, it's wet. And then for the Dianthus right here, I'm going to go ahead and move this outside and start the hardening off process so that these can be put into the ground within the next week or so. I forgot to tell you the varieties. This first one right here is the white bicolor Dianthus, purple white bicolor Dianthus, which I'm really excited about. Had some that dried out a little bit. I just missed watering, and that happens with seedlings. I also have the sweet black cherry mix, which is doing beautiful. Had some die off back here as well. Once again, I missed the watering. That causes problems. This one right here is the sweet white Dianthus, looking really good. And then the minstrel's Dianthus, meh, some of them look good, some of them don't, some of them dried out. I don't love them. I'm not really sure what I'm going to do with them. I'm not even sure I'm going to plant them. Well, we'll see. We'll see. We'll give it a little time outside and see how it does. Okay, Snapdragons are doing really, really well. I need to, for myself, I'm going to be planting half of these directly out into the garden, meaning I'll just take the whole little seed cell and I'll just plop it directly into my raised bed. But half of these are going to Kristen. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to pot up half of them, and then I'm going to leave the remaining ones in their containers and then go ahead and start hardening them off outside. Let me show you the varieties that I'm growing. The first one is Madam Butterfly Bronze, and it looks like I had 11 out of 12 seed cells germinate. The next variety is Costa Summer Lavender, and it looks like I had 11 out of 12 seed cells germinate. Next is Madam Butterfly Ivory, and it looks like I had 9 out of 12 germinate. Next is Chantilly Light Salmon, and it looks like I had 9 out of 12 germinate. Chantilly White, and looks like 100% germination on that. Costa Apricot, and looks like I had 10 out of 12 germinate. And finally, Madam Butterfly Bronze with White, and it looks like I had 10 out of 12 germinate. Now, some of these have multiple in them, so I might try to divide them up as well when I am potting them up. So that'll be a big thing today as well. And we'll talk about potting up once I've gone through all the seedlings and such. One more thing. By one more thing, I meant one more tray. Okay, so right here, I've got a few of my baby blue eucalyptus over here, which are doing beautifully. I've already got some outside in the greenhouse. They're doing great. They need to get planted in the garden. I also have the Candy Tuft mix, and it was supposed to be a mix of colors, and it looks like every single one that's germinated is white, so there's no mix regarding that. I did cut them back, and then they got leggy again. I really need to get all of these directly into the ground. I am going to go ahead and shift this tray outside and start the hardening off process on it. So far, the Candy Tuft is very wily and out of control. I do grow it as a tender perennial, so I think the important thing is for me to just get it into the ground for now to establish some really great roots and to get itself ready to make it through the hot, hot summer. It won't do anything pretty for the hot, hot summer, but then come back in the winter time. So that's kind of the key thing. It's not going to give me a lot of color or blooms this year, just because it's a perennial and they don't typically give you a lot the first year, but it should do well in the future for me. So let me put these outside. Okay, let me shift over to bare root. Really, it's like bare root and rhizomes and bulbs. So the first one I'm bringing out is caladiums, and they don't look like much, but I've been digging in here. If I dig down a little bit carefully with my finger, I can actually see the leaf sprouts starting to come up, which is super exciting. And so they do need a little bit of a warmer temp, but it's probably hard for y'all to see, but you can actually see the leaves in there. So they are doing really, really well. Just taking their nice sweet time, which is expected. I think that I could move these out into the greenhouse and it would be far more beneficial to them. So I think I'm going to go ahead and do that now. Okay, and then the last of the bare roots inside is a mix. Hi. Okay. The bleeding heart pink that I grew from bare roots, doing beautifully. It's even already starting to put on some blooms. Absolutely gorgeous. These are ready to be transferred outside, and with that, one will go to Kristen's house and one will stay here and go in my shade garden. I'm really excited about that. I also have a stilby coming up. I've got two varieties of stilby. The first one is the Choco Kiss from bare root. It's going really, really beautifully, coming up nicely. And that is going to go in my shade garden, and then one is going to go to Kristen's. And I have two of the Sunny Boy Astilbe. Both are coming up. One's a little bit more behind than the other one. These actually feel really dry, so I think they need to be watered well. But one will stay here and one will go to Kristen's as well. I also have Begonia Picotee Pink and White. All three of them are coming up beautifully. This one's a little bit further behind, but it's just below the surface right there. So these are starting to show their leaves off, doing really nicely as well, but I do need to water these. They are kind of dry. Okay. There's an update on all the seedlings on how they're doing. So we need to do a few things on potting up. Now, a lot of people ask, well, what is potting up? Basically, potting up is just giving a plant a larger container. You typically want to do a container that is at least 2 times larger than what it's currently in. So such as my begonias right here. Let me get my little spade to get my begonias up. My little begonias in here in their little container. So this is the size of the seed cell. So I definitely want to pot it up to minimum at least like a 3" by 4" somewhere there container. I think for these that I'm going to go to my larger green containers, and I think that'll work really, really well. But potting up is important. You want to pot up if you see a few things. If the roots are coming out the bottom of the seed cell. I don't know if they're doing any of that right here, but let's see what they're doing on. Oh yeah, so these roots are coming out the bottom of these seed cells, okay? Or if you see the roots wrapping at the bottom of the seed cell, so starting to become root bound, you want to pot up them. If your plants look like they are struggling, meaning they have stopped growing, they're not maybe doing as much anymore, that typically means that they need to be potted up. If they are wilting very easily, meaning it's hard to keep them watered, that's typically because the roots are just overtaking everything and it needs more space to spread out. Sometimes if they're becoming brown, that can be another reason to pot up. And then one of the big reasons I pot up is because I'm not ready to put plants out in the garden. Like I'm just not ready to put them out. It's one of the big reasons. You can't just leave them in those little seed cells forever and ever and ever. It's not good for the plant. So going ahead and potting them up into a larger container works. Sometimes I pot up into like this size container. Sometimes I pot up into like, you know, a gallon size container. It really just kind of depends on how long I think they're going to be in that pot. I think these begonias are going to be in these little pots for a little bit longer. I think most of these begonias are going to end up in the shade garden or the front porch. So let me show you how I create a mixture for my containers for potting up. Okay, for potting up, I like to work with my Burger BM7. I work with just a potting soil. So whatever potting soil you love the best. I like to go through first and make sure that I'm getting out any large clumps, any issues like that is super important. Next, I like to add a little bit of compost. I typically just do a couple of handfuls of compost. Good quality compost, something that you love. This bag has been sitting outside for a while, so it just smells lovely. It smells fine. And then basically at this point, I'm just going to mix up the soil. Now, you could definitely apply like a slow release fertilizer in here. That would be totally fine too. I typically like to do the compost mix in because I'm going to be fertilizing these with my Alaskan fish emulsion. And then when I actually plant them into my garden, I will apply a slow release fertilizer at that time. But if you don't have any compost on hand, you can apply slow release fertilizer, or you can stick with just the potting soil as long as you're going to be feeding it with a liquid fertilizer. That's the important thing. You're not going to do a lot for your seedlings if you just put them in straight potting soil and don't give them any kind of fertilizer to start growing. Fertilizer is pretty much the key to getting your seedlings to a successful place. So it'll be super easy with the begonias. So I just kind of fill my pot a little bit loosely. I'm not packing it or anything. Using my fingers to create a hole and then placing my begonia into place, adding soil if need be. And some of y'all have said that you have a little trouble getting the seedlings out of the Amazon containers. You can give them a little squeeze. That's helpful. And you can just pull them out like that. I like to use the little spatula too. I had another viewer who said that she actually flipped these upside down and put larger holes in the bottom so that her fingers would actually fit in the holes. And then that's made the whole process a lot easier. And I'm not going to lie, I'm probably going to do that before I start all my seedlings in the summer. I thought that was a great idea on her part. Okay, next I'm going to be starting working with the Snapdragons. So I'm going to, like I was saying, I'm going to plant up about half of each container. I'm out of the water reservoir trays. So I'm just going to be using these old containers right here that, you know, you would typically get, you know, pick up from a flat of annuals from your local nursery. And I'm just going to fill up my containers. I'm going to start with 6. Like I said, remember, the rest of these for myself, they're going to go straight into the ground. For Kristen, they need to be potted up so that she can plant them at her convenience later on. Okay, let's go ahead and plant up the rest of these. Okay, that's a lot of seedlings. So 18, 36, 42. 42 Snapdragon seedlings to go to Kristen's house. The remaining ones I left in their little containers. I consolidated them a little bit, and those are probably going to get planted out this weekend. I'm probably going to do a video where I'm going to plant out the Snapdragons and the Dianthus. Those definitely need to be potted up. I'm also going to go ahead and pull a bleeding heart for Kristen. A chocolate kiss. And a sunny boy. And I'm going to go ahead and take these outside, douse them really well with water before the rain comes, and then bring them back in before the storm. Okay, so the last seedling maintenance we're going to do is with my creeping thyme. And when I started this, I started just the whole thing in here. So it's just like one big thing of seeds. So the idea was that I wanted to be able to at some point be able to come in here and just divide out portions of it. So I'm just very carefully, this is best done with moist soil and best done before the plants get too big. But I'm going to go ahead and separate out some of these a little bit and probably a little bit more as we're going along. And then I'm going to work with, I think I'm still going to work with these kind of smaller containers, not the bigger containers. Basically, I'm going to fill it halfway with soil, tuck in a few of the plants just like that. Get the seedlings, top it up with some soil, and there we will go. I'd like to get a dozen out of here. Let's see how that goes. Find one more reservoir tray. So I ended up with 13. That's not bad at all. I think I could have even divided it up more. I think I probably could have gotten close to 20 if I had taken my a little bit more time. Those look really good though. I'm going to go ahead and water those. I'm going to keep these inside for now under the grow lights. Okay, so we actually have a storm on the way, so the wind is really starting to pick up, and I do need to close up the greenhouse before a storm. Like, I would never leave it open during a big storm when we're having a lot of wind, because the wind could just go right under there and pull the whole thing up. So I'll close everything up. Typically I'll move these roses over the edge to hold it all down too, but things are going really well in here. These are all those are all petunias from the Dollar Tree. Some of them are 2 feet tall. They are doing beautifully. Over here we have our toothache plants, which are coming along really, really well. I've also got some eucalyptus, baby blue eucalyptus tucked back in there. We have more of the cleome, which are doing really nice. I do have my peppers that are overwintered in here, and they are starting to fruit. They really need to be planted up in bigger containers with lots of compost and fertilizer. I really need to get on that in the next week or so. So you can see them over here as well. Got lots of pollinators and stuff in the ground, or in here, hanging out. So one of these, this right here is my Eryngium sea holly. Came up, the bare root came up really well. And I had an additional one there, an additional one there, so 3 of them. And then my purple echinacea came up. Both of those came up as well. Beautiful. These right here are the Beaujolais bonnet scabiosa and the Merlot red scabiosa, both which came up, are doing nicely. Now I've got my calla lilies over here, and I don't have a lot going on over here, but it's all happening below the surface. Some of them are coming up, but then below all of these surface, like if I do some digging, I start to run in to some of the green spikes. So they're building lots of roots underneath, but those are going well. This got stung. So all the white, I put a baking soda paste on it, but you can see like the irritation of the redness coming out. It's like that guy that I just showed you guys. That guy stung me, the one that was in the pot with the peppers. It hurt so bad. And I've been stung by like a yellow jacket before. I don't know what that bug was. So once I realized that, well, I knew I was stung right away because it hurt real bad. So I called my daughter, and she sat with me for 20 minutes while I applied the baking soda paste. So it's just baking soda and water. You make it in really, and you put it on real thick, not a little, like ½ an inch, and then just hold it in place for at least 20 minutes. Helps with the pain and the swelling and that kind of stuff. Simple, easy remedy. But I had my daughter sit with me for a good 20 minutes too, to make sure that I didn't have an allergic reaction. Okay, so now we're going to finish up in the greenhouse. I'm not going to go like super deep into that greenhouse because wasps can keep stinging. They're not like bees where they sting you once and then their stinger gets ripped out and they die. No. Wasps can sting lots of people in their lifetime. So, but let's go back again into the greenhouse. Okay, God, I hope that wasp isn't in here. But, oh, I see bumblebees, but I don't see the wasp. But I'm going to point to things. Okay, so right here is all my tomatoes. They're looking beautifully. They really need to get into the ground ASAP. This is a bunch more dahlias here, which are doing good. You can see I actually need a deadhead, a bunch of my petunias, but they're looking beautiful as well. Those are more dahlias over here. And then all 3 of the clematis are up. The bare root clematis are up and doing really well. So I'm going to go ahead and close this up, and I'll show y'all what it looks like. Okay, so I've got it closed up. I've still got the windows open so it doesn't get too hot in there. And then I use these 2 rose bushes to kind of weigh it down right there. I've been keeping that right there, the bag of mulch, to help out with that too. But when you have these cheap, flimsy greenhouses, when you have a storm coming through, you need to close it up so that you are not allowing wind to get up and under and whip the whole thing up. Also, something I just noticed, this is a peony. I think it's a Sarah Bernhardt, and dare I say, it has a bloom. This guy has been ignored. Totally ignored. I mean, you can tell that it needs some iron. It hasn't been fertilized or anything, but look at that. I might actually have a peony bloom this year. That's amazing. Okay, well, that ended on a note that I wasn't hoping for with my, oh, I don't want to pull it off in front of y'all, but it's swollen up in there. It's okay. I'm fine. I didn't have an allergic reaction, so yay, I didn't go to the hospital. Woohoo! Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Seeing me go through all of my seeds, kind of talk about what's going on with each of them, what my plans are, if they needed to be potted up, if they needed to be outside, or when I'm planning on planting them in the ground, dividing out some for Kristen. I really need to start getting her seedlings to her because I need more space for a lot of mine. I am going to be doing an experiment with some zinnia seedlings. I'm going to start some zinnias inside, I'm going to start some zinnias outside, and then we'll compare and see which ones did the best. And zinnias aren't supposed to transplant very well, but I've transplanted them in the past and they've done fine. So I thought I'd do a comparison video just to show you guys so that we could explore that a little bit as well. And now that we are getting past my last frost date, it is game on. Like we are planting. Like that is the goal. And there's probably going to be a lot less potting up at this point because it's warm enough to get things outside. So the only reason I would be potting up at this point is if it's going to Kristen's garden, or if it is going in a portion of the garden that is not prepped and ready to go. And then if that's something that I'm still several weeks away from, then I'll be potting up seedlings at that point. But I want to encourage you guys, make sure you are fertilizing your seedlings. Make sure they are getting minimum 14 hours of grow lights per day and that they are as close to the lights as possible without burning them, of course. And then also make sure that you're potting up as needed. It seems excessive and tedious, which it is. I don't think it's excessive, but it is definitely tedious. Seems tedious, and yeah, it is tedious, but it's worth it in the end because it gives them a better opportunity to create a better root system. Sorry, I got distracted because I forgot that I have never planted this sweet shrub. And it's growing. Okay, we got to get this planted in an upcoming video. This is a shrub that I picked up from Tractor Supply, and I meant to get it started and I keep forgetting. I need to get it started. One other thing, a lot of people ask after I pot up my seedlings, what do? Do I put them back under the lights or do I put them outside? Most of them I start hardening off outside. So I'll, do that hardening off process a little bit at a time, putting them outside for a little bit, bringing them back in. You want to expose them to a little bit of sun at a time, mostly shade the first couple of days. And then you basically take anywhere from a week to 10 days until you can finally leave your seedlings out all day long and night. And most of them, that's what I do. I transfer them outside to be hardened off. Some of them I do keep inside. And the reason I keep some inside is just because I haven't made up a decision of like where I'm putting them or what I'm doing with them at that point. So I just leave them inside. So it just kind of is what it is. All right, you all, make sure you drop me a comment below. Let me know which of the stain colors you like the best. Also, let me know how your seedlings are holding up and if you have any questions regarding their maintenance or upkeep. All right, as always, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Every time you like and comment, it helps grow the channel so much. And be sure to check me out on my social media outlets, including Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. As always, she's a mad gardener or decorator or anything else that she wants to be. Thanks, y'all.